Hi, this is Dave21963, and someone just asked me to go over the aider that I use on my One Sticks. So I'm going to do a real short video because it's raining and I can't hunt. But these are my One Sticks. Best stick out there as far as weight and packability. I love these things. But basically, what I did was I figured out how long I wanted my aider to be, and what I did was I made mine to where when I put this Amstel loops over the ears, it would hang down the same distance between steps to the bottom of my aider, okay? Now, as far as making the thing, it's real easy. Once you figure out how long of a piece of Amstel, you add in, I'd say 6 inches on each side. I didn't measure it. I just added in 6, 7 inches. And then you'll do a buried Brummel loop on both sides of your rope. And then what I did is I took a piece of pretty thick bungee cord and I just ran it through both those bottom section of the Brummel loop, and I put a stopper knot on each side. This just helps it from never popping off of the ears of the One Stick. I then came down and at the very bottom, I put a little bit of this, I don't know, some kind of gas line tubing I got at Tractor Supply. I did that to where it'd be about an inch wider than my boot, maybe 2 inches wider than my boot on each side, so that it could wrap around a little bit on my boot. And then I also put glow-in-the-dark tape and reflective tape on the bottom, because when I'm coming down at night after an evening hunt, if it's been sunny out, this glow-in-the-dark will last for 2 or 3 hours, and it's very easy to see this aider coming down. And if it's a cloudy day and you don't get much sunlight, then even though the glow-in-the-dark still works on most days, the reflective tape makes it easier. And then the last thing that I did was I just taped up the middle of it so that when it's on my ears, it's not hanging open the whole length. Now, what I do when I'm climbing up, I will stand on the top of a stick and attach my next stick. And basically what I do is I will measure from the top of my bottom stick. I'll put my stick up. There's 1, and then I'll go 2, and that's where I want the bottom step here, because my loop's going to hang down for that 1 step. That keeps all my step spacings pretty evenly spaced. Now, of course, on a leaning tree, or if you're having to make twists around the tree and stuff like that, that's going to vary and stuff. But I've done this so many times. I don't know how many times I prep trees and stuff this summer. I'm out usually every weekend prepping trees or putting up cameras, and so I'm using my gear all the time, so I know the spacing of my sticks. And that's just something that comes with over time. As far as the Amstel, gosh, I don't even know. I think this was 1/8 inch Amstel that I used. I used whatever I had. It's the same rope that I used on my sticks, because I've replaced all the rope and all of my sticks, including my One Sticks, my B sticks, everything. I've replaced my ropes every single year with Amstel, new Amstel. Not that it needs it. I mean, like I've said, I've been hunting all year with this set here, and you can see there's not much damage at all on this, no fraying or anything on these sticks. And I have used these setting up at least 2 to 3 times a day, and I'm hunting anywhere from 4 to 5 days a week. And I've been doing that since October, and perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong here. So I don't know if that answers all your questions that you had on this aider. It's not, I mean, you could use tubular webbing. You could use basically any material you want. I like Amstel because I like the ability to take my gear and pack it up very small. And these go in my little dump pouches on my saddle, because another thing I like to do is I have 2 dump pouches. I keep everything I need to climb a tree and to hunt from a platform in that saddle. Whether it's bow hooks, whether it's this, my lineman, my tether, my 2 pull ropes. I carry all that in my saddle. But when I get up to height, I empty those out. I put everything in my backpack that's not used on the tree itself. My lineman goes in there, of course, my tether I'm using and stuff. My pull ropes go in there until at the end of the hunt. I like keeping my waistline pretty clear. The only thing I will put in those pouches is I've got a paracord loop that I hang my binoculars on, and I made it long enough to where I can get it out in glass and then I can slide those binoculars into this left side hip pocket, so it's totally out of my way when I'm shooting right-handed. That's just how I like to run things. I'll try to do some more videos this spring and summer on how I like to set my saddle up, and maybe some scouting and prepping things. But let me know if this answer. I'm sorry I didn't look to see who had posted the last question asking for details on this aider, but here you go. Dave 21963 out.